I was a teacher once, a teacher of minors. Actually, the first time was in Chicago. I taught young people at an after school program. I taught them martial arts. I was in a church. And I taught them for half of one academic semester and then half one academic year and then the next year after the school got out for the summer and came back. And so far as I recall, I never had to yell at them. If they got a little boisterous and maybe I had to say something, a little loudly in order to silence them, I did that. But I never got angry and yelled at them. This never happened. They were all geniuses. Some of them could do things differently than others. Part of being a teacher is figuring out how to identify what somebody has to offer. I remember at this time, I'm going to be honest, I smoked cigarettes. And one day, outside of class, completely somewhere else in the city, one of those young people was walking down the street and he saw me smoking a cigarette. He said, "Oh, you shouldn't smoke cigarettes." And he was right. Later, I was a teacher. I was a teacher in Honduras, and I taught young people. As I recall, I only had to yell at them, or only yelled at them once. It was on July 2nd. We were reading something, and it had to do with a perspective on the 4th of July from a Native American point of view. And while they were reading it in the manner that it was being done, they began giggling and laughing, and I was offended. I was incredibly offended. I thought that they didn't understand what was happening. To be honest, I thought that they were being racist against Native American people in North America that they had maybe not encountered in the way it was being presented. And I yelled at them. And I told them that at that time, I said, what you just experienced, what just happened, you've visited an insult. And because of that insult, you don't deserve right now for us to continue this lesson. Now, some may understand that to be inappropriate. I shouldn't have said something of that effect. But we were in a very significant situation because right after I left that class, I went to the next class. This was at the end of the class. I said it literally right before the bell rang. I left the room. And when I went to the next room, the other students were lined up outside the room. And two of the teachers and the principal were in the room looking through their cell phones. I said, "What are you guys doing?" They're like, "Well, they're checking our bags." Why? Mind you, they weren't looking in their bags. They were looking on their cell phones. I said, "Why are they checking your bags?" One of the students said, "Well, somebody said something about how one of us had a gun." I was like, "What?" Principal came out. I asked her, "Why are they looking through their bags?" She said, don't worry, I'll talk to you about it later." I'm like, "No, you're going to talk to me about it now." Things unfolded from there. My concern is that day we were supposed to be talking to students in another country about the 4th of July in the United States. And the teachers from their country were sitting in their classrooms looking at their cell phones laughing. That's the thing. They had opened up their bags while I was in the other class, taken out their cell phones, were looking through their cell phones and laughing at what they saw. The same time the students in my class were laughing at a recitation of, or rather a reading of, a perspective on the 4th of July from a Native American point of view. I yelled at everybody that day that was adult, and I left. It is unconscionable that teachers or parents should think it is acceptable to wave that off onto children. This is what I understand has been happening. There's a lot of righteous, justifiable rage that exists right now. We're supposed to be adults. We're supposed to know how to take it. We're supposed to be able to discuss matters with each other. And if somebody raises their voice and it makes you uncomfortable, then you need to be able to address that discomfort before you turn and you slap your child and tell them to stop doing that. I've seen it too many times, even if I'm not saying anything. Apparently, somebody is speaking too loudly, and it is okay to wave it off into your child. No, it's not. No, I have not had anything to do with young people since I was kicked out of that shelter. I was told that I made women feel unsafe because when they said this doesn't make any sense, or I'm trying to get this done and this is what they did, I supported them. And then I backed it up with actual legal information about how what was happening was illegal. I was kidnapped for 10 days. And since then, I haven't been able to be around children, but I see it all the time, what's been done with children. What their parents have done, the bribes their teachers are taking, this completely unacceptable leveraging the position of how important it is to be a teacher for one's own personal gain without exposing the toxicity of the system you're expecting to benefit from. It's unacceptable. If I am directing at you my rage because you refuse to be accountable for what the abuses of power are availing you of at the expense of scores of other people, you have no right to put your child up as a human shield. That's the equivalent of what you do when you allow for them to wave it off onto your child. And I don't give a fuck if you are at the Supreme Court of the United States when you do it. You understand? I saw what you did. I saw what you did before it was made public. I saw what those younger people that are trying to impress you did along with you. This isn't about a crazy woman. I never got to finish my lesson on the 4th of July. You know that? Every day it continues.